With all of the trash that we've seen come out from the Marvel Cinematic Universe over the past few years, and with all the projects in the next coming year or so that people have to look at and see what's coming, there might be one standout where, based on what we've seen, based on what we've heard from the people involved, and based on what they did, quite frankly, tearing everything up that they'd worked on because they thought it was shit, bringing in some of the original creators and starting from the beginning, it might be Daredevil Born Again that has more people hopeful that they could get an actual banger from the MCU in 2025. Certainly, it's not to say that everybody trusts Marvel to deliver on this or trust them to give them the Daredevil that they know from the Netflix series. But with the trailer having incredibly positive reception and some of the people involved saying all the right things, it's one of the few things that's out there that you're like, you know what? This has actually got a chance to be good. And that might be why one failed MCU star is so desperate to attach her name to that. And that, of course, would be the star of She-Hulk, Tatiana Maslany herself. She-Hulk star would absolutely return in Daredevil Born Again. I have a lot of serious bones in my body. Well, you definitely got at least one serious bone in you when what we saw from She-Hulk. You saw Daredevil boning She-Hulk in that show. But the problem with Daredevil boning She-Hulk was not that they fucked or that they hooked up. Whatever. That is what it is. It's the way that the character was presented. It's the way that Matt Murdock and Daredevil himself was presented in that series that had so many people upset because it was vastly different than the character we'd seen in the Netflix series before Disney decided to bring him into the MCU. And at that point in time, people said, well, this is the MCU. It's different. Well, now we have Daredevil Born Again, which they've essentially decided they're going to ignore all the dumb shit they did in She-Hulk, not address it at all in any way, shape, or form, and that this is an extension of the Netflix show. That's what the creators have said. That's the tone that they're trying to set. And that Daredevil does not fit with what we saw in the Daredevil or with the Daredevil appearance in the She-Hulk show. But it's not really a surprise that she would desperately want to come back in this show in some way, shape, or form because nobody really wants to see Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk after the garbage show that they put on. What, 9 episodes, $225 million? For a comedy that wasn't funny, that was basically just meant to shit on fans? Yeah, no thanks. Not many fans want to see you. I'm sure you want to see yourself, though. Again, I have a lot of serious bones in my body. She-Hulk actor addresses whether the character could come over to Daredevil Born Again. Tatiana Maslany, would I be born again? I mean, absolutely. He was so great. He was so fun, like a really fun person to play with. And I think what he did so well was take a character that exists in a different tone and totally adapt him for this new tone while still maintaining the integrity of the character, which is actually very funny then. To see him collide with this sort of goofier world. Screen Rant, I think you could come in and be a little serious. I agree. I have a lot of serious bones in my body. She-Hulk definitely has a lot of bones in her body that we see throughout that show. But honestly, I don't think Marvel's interested at all. They were specifically asked about whether this show would address any of what happened in She-Hulk. And they're like, no, we're not going to talk about that at all. I mean, was he with Karen at the time? Was he cheating on Karen when he went out there and fucked She-Hulk in his mustard-colored suit? We're never going to find out because they're going to pretend it never happened. That's what an abomination She-Hulk was. Ironically, because Abomination was in She-Hulk. But that's what an abomination this show was. Nobody wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole. They don't want anything to do with it. And I'm sure Tatiana Maslany would desperately want to attach herself to this because it does seem like of all the things that Marvel's coming out with, this is the one that looks and feels like it has the best chance to deliver what some fans would want. No guarantees of that. We know that for a fact, but we will see. I think one thing can be certain. We are not going to see She-Hulk, at least in the first season of Daredevil Born Again, and let's hope we never see her in that show.